And we're live. Welcome back to this corner of the internet. If you're new here, my name is Liz Walker, business coach for women of color. And today we're going to talk about how you can create your first coaching package, your first coaching package with ease. We're going to talk you through step by step the different things that you should be taking into consideration when you start developing your first package. There's a lot of information out there on the internet, probably 1,000 different ways that you can create a program. So I'm going to give you some insight onto things that you should take into consideration as you're building yours to make the process just a tad bit easier. All right. So first, let's begin with number one. When you're thinking about the coaching program that you want to develop, you want to ask yourself, what results do you want your client to get? Simple, yes, but a great place to start. And you want to make sure that you're asking yourself this so that you make sure that you yourself have clarity on what it is that you want someone to achieve after working with you. And this could be anything under the sun, depending on what type of coach you are. This could be more profit in their business. It could be better eating habits. It could be, more self-trust, like whatever it is, like what is the end result that you hope someone will achieve after working with you? And depending on what it is, that will help you determine the length of your program. So when we're talking about coaching, we're talking about sitting with someone or talking with someone to see what's going on in their head, to see what they're thinking, what they're feeling, that's creating the result that they either do or do not want to achieve, right? So that involves talking with someone, sometimes in a group setting, but usually, especially if you're starting out, just one-to-one. And usually these discussions, especially if you're newer to coaching, are going to take about an hour. It's going to take about an hour to really talk to someone, get underneath the surface to figure out what it is that's going on with them. And then when you're able to do that, to then get to what action steps or behaviors this person then needs to adopt or let go of in order to achieve the intended result that they want from the program. So stop and ask yourself, what result do you want your clients to get? If it's something that will usually take an extended amount of time, then that means you're going to have a coaching package that's a bit longer. Maybe it's about 6 months or so. If it's something that's more of not necessarily a quick fix, but something that may not necessarily take quite as long, then maybe you're looking at a shorter package, maybe something that's like 3 months long. So take that into consideration. Next, you want to identify the steps to get them there. So whatever result that you want your clients to achieve, you want to break that down further into steps that they need to take to get there, into milestones that they need to achieve to get there. And this will help you to add structure to your program. So you know that if someone wants to achieve X, Y, and Z with you, they have to go through these initial steps. Maybe it's 4 steps, maybe it's 5 steps, 6 steps, 10 steps, however many steps it is. You want to make sure that you are actually laying it out so that can help you with building the structure of your program. So once you know the result you want your client to achieve, you've broken it down into the steps that it'll take for them to get there, or the milestones that they'll need to achieve to get there. You want to ask yourself, honestly, how long will it take for them to achieve each of these milestones? It's going to be different from person to person. So when you're thinking about this in terms of developing your coaching program, you're going to want to be thinking in terms of like averages. So when I'm thinking about this, for instance, as a business coach, I'm thinking that it's going to take probably about 6 weeks or so for someone who works with me to achieve each step in the ladder to get to that final end result. And so I'm taking that into consideration of building my package, right? So say, for instance, I have like 4 or to 5 milestones that I'll need someone to reach or to hit in order to get to where they want to go. And it takes about 6 weeks to achieve each one. Then looking at like a 24-week program, or, on the longer end of things, it could even extend to like a 30-week program. And so then I'm using that timeline to figure out, okay, how many coaching sessions do I need to make sure are included in here for people to get the results and to hit the milestones I want them to achieve. And when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking in terms of, how much mindset work is someone going to need help with to get to that next level? Because if we're thinking about hitting milestones, right? Especially if the milestones are things that are within the person's control, which they should be, then the action itself could take, less than a day to do. But the mindset work to get that person prepared and ready to do that step could take a couple of weeks. Like, it could take meeting with you for a 1-hour session to start unpacking things, and then they step away and digest it. And then maybe you're coming back for another session and they have additional things that popped up, or they still need time to digest it, or maybe didn't quite get to that root issue. Like, it could still take time. So I recommend that for every like literal milestone or action step that someone needs to accomplish while working with you, tack on at least 2 to 3 sessions for that to encompass the mindset work that you could possibly have to do. Now, this doesn't mean that someone can't move through your program faster or slower, but this at least gives you a starting point so that how you can change things in the future if need be. You got to start somewhere. So I say start with, what you think is an average. And personally, I recommend, having at least anywhere from 2 to 3 sessions. That's at least 2 to 3 1-hour long sessions dedicated to working on the mindset work that will help that person feel prepared and excited to take on that next action step that they need to do to then hit their milestone, right? So if we're talking about, for instance, a program with 4 milestones that you want your client to hit. So there's 4 steps that they need to hit to get to whatever goal they want to achieve when working with you. Then for each of those 4 steps, I would make sure that there are at least 2 to 3 coaching sessions attached to those steps to address the mindset work, to prep them, to help prepare them, empower them to take those next steps or to reach that next milestone. So if that's 4 steps, we'll say times 3 sessions each, then that's a total of 12 sessions, 12 1-hour long sessions that, I personally would spread out over the course of 6 months to give people time to be able to do the work and get the work done. Now, if you're thinking about if you're coaching on something that doesn't necessarily require any too much physical output. So for instance, business requires physical output. You have to create content. You have to make offers. Health coaching requires physical output. People have to exercise. They have to do movement. Like, you have to, they have to be able to, let their body adjust over time. That may require at least like a 6-month time frame to start seeing heavy change. But if you're doing something that's really more mindset focused, then maybe you can experiment with like a 3-month long package. And then maybe you're meeting every week or so with the person to help them change their mindset and develop the internal tools they need to be able to, think differently or to make different decisions. So it very much depends. There's no right or wrong answer here, but in general, I always recommend adding and preparing for 2 to 3 sessions per milestone. And then remember to take it just one step at a time with your client, because remember, your clients are at step 1 or 2. But you have achieved the result that they are looking to achieve. And so you are already at step 100. Like, you already have the power of hindsight to be able to see, all the different twists and turns and the curvy roads and the unseen obstacles. Like, you've had time to see that and digest that. That is evidence in your back pocket of what is possible. Your clients don't have that yet. So you have to be prepared to be patient, to go slow if need be, to stay where they are and to always meet them where they're at, taking things one step at a time. If it takes your client an extra amount of time to get to milestone 1 that you didn't plan for, There's nothing wrong with that. That is okay. Some people will move differently through the different milestones at different paces for no rhyme or reason. So just remember that the structure that you're creating for your coaching package, it's not set in stone. It's not cut and dry. It will be ever evolving and dynamic, and it will be a different experience for every single client that you work with. And then you always want to make sure that you're setting aside time to evaluate your programs, to make sure that you're always continuing to improve upon serving and helping your people. So, say for instance, after you've worked with a few folks and then you start to realize that maybe they need more one-on-one time with you. Don't be afraid to add in more one-on-one sessions, and, make sure that you have that equal energy exchange, and adjusting things like the price if necessary to make sure that you still feel good with what work that you're putting out there and the service that you're providing. Maybe you realize that you need to provide more training, more time for workshops, more additional like courses or modules or things that you can add in so that people can access tools and reference guides, outside of your sessions. Maybe that's something you can think about adding. Or maybe you think just a few more, a little bit more access to you via a messaging app, for instance, outside of sessions like Voxer or Instagram, DM memo, voice memos. The options are endless, but the point is that that whatever program you start out with, it's not going to stay exactly the same. It's going to evolve and it's going to change as you collect more feedback from the people you work with. And this feedback can be direct or indirect feedback. It can be feedback that you get from people through like surveys, through client reviews, through talking with them. It can also be more indirect feedback, things that you notice, things that come into your awareness that you start seeing and noticing and want to improve and make adjustments upon. So, again, your program is dynamic, ever evolving. So get used to the idea that it will not stay the same, which means that you can literally start anywhere and just know that it's going to improve with time. And don't forget the data. So I really want to preface this for you, especially as you're new and just starting out and trying to figure out, how to even begin or where to start. Remember that it's going to take more than just 1, 2, or 3 clients going through your program to give you real solid data and information about what things need to change or what things can be improved, right? So if you're definitely, starting your business from scratch, you're not like these influencers out here with, hundreds of thousands of followers or even tens of thousands of followers for that matter. Like, you're not going to get a ton of data up front to tell you clearly what things can be changed or adjusted or what things are working, what things are not working. You're going to have to really literally take it one step at a time, client by client, right? And so one of the sayings that I've heard, and I forgot where it comes from, honestly, if drop it in the comments, but it's, one's a fluke, 2's a coincidence, 3 is a pattern, and 4 is a standard. I forgot where I heard that from. But I think that is a really valuable frame of reference for you when you are just starting out and you're literally bringing in clients like maybe once every few months or maybe once every few quarters. Okay. So, I really recommend that you don't, let the perceived success or failure of your program, be dictated by just one single person's experience. Like, yes, listen to your clients and hear them. Definitely things they say, keep them in your back pocket just in case. But it's very possible that sometimes people can have a one-off experience, and that's good or bad, right? Like, you can have a client who, had an amazing experience working with you and was able to blow their income goals out of the water. But if your next 3 or 4 clients aren't doing that, then that could indicate a problem. Or maybe you have a client who said they had a terrible experience and it just really wasn't a good fit at all. And maybe they didn't even finish the program, but your next 2 or 3 clients, they finish it just fine and get the result they came for. Like, make sure that you're not, just letting one single person's experience dictate the effectiveness of your entire program. You're going to make sure that you collect the data. I think that by the time you hit at least 10 clients that have gone through your program, that you can start to see some percentages, you can start to see some patterns about things that you can start looking to change or update or improve upon, or areas where you can definitely see strengths of yours and continue to lean into that. But anything less than 10, then you're probably setting yourself on a wild goose chase and giving yourself unnecessary anxiety. So I just wanted to throw that out there because not many people talk about that from the perspective of, starting a business actually from scratch and not going viral on some random platform and then claiming that, people just have to do 1, 2, 3, ABC and then they're good to go, right? So I just want to throw that out there just to make sure that you're using data, but not letting data punish you. All right, so a little bonus. Let's talk about courses and trainings, workshops, modules, things like that. How do they actually fit into a program? And you want to remember that these things are great tools. They're super helpful to have and will definitely serve your clients, but they're also more decoration. They're more like frosting on the cake that is your program, right? It adds a little extra flavor, adds a little extra flair. It's great decoration, but at the same time, the meat of the transformation that someone's going to experience with you in a coaching program is through your coaching. It's through actually talking with them, like actually getting to the roots of what's going on with them and the conversations that you have. It's not so much going to be what's in, course 1, module 4, right? And you also have to understand that people aren't going to do things that they don't want to do, right? So you can put all this time and all this effort into these amazing courses and these amazing tools and these amazing resources, and your clients just might not use them. And it can be common to look at that and think, oh, well, they're being lazy. They're not participating fully in the program. But in actuality, they just haven't reached the point in coaching with you where the next clear path to them for achieving their goals is inside one of your modules or inside of one of your trainings. Like there will be a point in time when you're coaching with someone where they'll have an aha moment of, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my next step. Now, what tools can I use to help get me there? And that's when it'll come back to their awareness that, oh, we have trainings on X, Y, and Z, or we have modules on this, that, and the third. And then that's when they will be mentally prepared and ready and excited to digest that information and make it applicable to them, to actually interact with it. But until they've reached that point, they're not going to care about your modules or your tools or your resources. And that doesn't mean don't provide them. Yes, please still do provide them because they will come in handy at some point. But also don't be offended if they don't use them or completely forget about them. Because remember, the transformation is in the coaching itself, not in the tools. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Step by step, what you need to do to create your first coaching program, keeping it simple. 1, you want to think about the actual result that you want people to achieve. And then once you realize what result you want them to achieve at the end of working with you, break that down into steps. What steps do they need to do? What milestones do they need to hit to get to that point? And it doesn't matter if it's 4, 5, or 10. Whatever the steps are, whatever those milestones are, that's your starting point. And then make sure that you're remembering that in order to do those steps, in order to take action on those steps and to achieve those milestones, people have to be mentally prepared to do so. So that means that you need to be prepared to provide at least 2 to 3 sessions dedicated to that particular milestone, that particular next step, to make sure that they have enough mindset work ready and done to be able to get it started. So if you have a 10-step program and people need mindset work to go through and complete successfully each of those 10 steps, then maybe you're looking at, 20 sessions, or maybe you're looking at 30 sessions. And then it's up to you if you want to spread that out over the course of 6 months or something shorter. There really is no right or wrong answer. It could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be however long you want it to be, really. But it really just has to be something that feels good to you so that you feel excited about doing it and showing up to do that work. All right. So those are the steps for remembering that. Remember that your program is ever dynamic. It'll constantly be evolving, constantly be changing as you get more and more data from and feedback from your clients. So, that's the exciting part. Like, the exciting part is coming up with new ideas and new ways of doing things and looking to see how it changes. So enjoy the process. If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments below. I do have spots open for one-on-one coaching. So if you do need help getting to your next 1K with ease and you're just starting from scratch, you need help building out that program, then use the description box below to book an interest call with me using the link, and we'll get started. So take care.